Okay, let's get going. I am so pleased to join you all for this session. This is the breakout on practical energy stewardship and the ethics of care. We've got two excellent speakers here today to talk through what I think is actually an interesting blend of what Doug and Elisa were talking about, of both technical information combined with the human element in terms of energy stewardship, specifically here focusing much more on energy efficiency. So my name is Thayer Tomlinson. I am a contractor for the EPA's Energy Star Congregations and Small Business Program. I've been working with Energy Star for the last about 15 years and have do a lot of research, technical writing, and trainings for the program. And I'm very excited to introduce our two speakers today. Our first is Jerry Lawson, who is the National Manager for EPA's Energy Star program, both for small business and the congregations program. Jerry's had a very long and I'd say successful career working on energy and water stewardship, both with the EPA and with organizations such as the Lower Colorado River Authority. And he'll be talking today about really looking at energy and water conservation at worship facilities and providing some of the tools and resources that EPA through the Energy Star program can provide you, and really helping the faith community understand how to save money on energy and water and how that money can then go toward your mission, how to reduce your greenhouse gas footprint by increasing your energy and water efficiency, and just to improve the overall facility comfort and performance of your facility. Our second speaker today is Ben Sanders, who is the director of Campus Christian Center in Tempe, Arizona, and he is going to talk today about the iHelp network and really give a great perspective on how to put energy conservation in action on the ground, working with communities who are presently homeless. So we're going to start. I'm going to hand the screen or the microphone over to Jerry, and I can just tell me next, Jerry, and I will advance the slides for you.
Thank you, Thayer. Greetings, everyone. I'd like to thank Elisa and all the SEEK team for this opportunity, and especially everyone participating today. And I want to thank you for the practice of stewardship where you live. Next, please. EPA has been involved since creation in 1970 with protecting human health and life-sustaining ecosystems. And the more I've worked with the faith community since the mid-1990s, the more it's been clear to me that the EPA mission aligns with the stewardship teachings of every faith community I've encountered. To the end of working together, Energy Star provides a number of tools and types of training and technical support to help benchmark, that is, set your baseline on energy, water, and greenhouse gas emissions, and to track your improvement in performance. We provide unbiased, reliable information, and we like ultimately to help recognize excellence in sustainability. Next. So just an overview, some of the key tools that we have to offer, and I would like to invite our international friends to energystar.gov. Everything we offer online is freely available internationally. The one limit is partnership in the program is limited to domestic organizations in the US. So I'm going to talk about the action workbooks, tools related to bringing your green to work, engaging and educating employees, treasure maps for finding savings, guides for competition. We've learned over the years that friendly competitions are very important and to getting people engaged and involved. And finally, our most significant tool is Portfolio Manager. It's a tool for tracking your energy, water, and greenhouse gas emissions in use by more than 300,000 commercial buildings in the United States. Next, please. So the action workbook, what you're seeing represented in the photos is the fact that we co-brand the workbook with our partners, meaning that at no cost to them, they can have a customized version of this workbook as a PDF for their website. So some of the examples here, starting on the left, are Interfaith Power and Light. Then the United Synagogues of Conservative Judaism, the Islamic Society of North America. In the upper right is even the Tennessee Valley Authority, which has programs for faith community. And back down center is the Evangelical Environmental Network. And finally, on the right is the Conference for Catholic Facility Management. These are just a few of the organizations with which we have worked to provide co-branded versions of this workbook that has worksheets, checklists, information on finance and equipment and how to work with contractors, how to work within your congregation. So it's a free download today, now at energystar.gov/congregations. Next. Bring Your Green to Work is a web page, the URL at the bottom here, that has all types of tools to help a green team in your organization with tips and a ready-to-go slideshow, lunch and learn flyer that you can use in the congregation, and best practices for engaging everyone involved in the congregation. Next, please. Treasure map. Energy Star has a campaign we call Treasure Hunt. The concept originated in the private sector with manufacturers like Nissan, with Staples, with Colgate-Palmolive, Lockheed Martin, other large companies. And the idea is, even after they had had a professional energy audit and done professional upgrades for efficiency, Nissan had the idea of turning to the people that were not energy professionals in the warehouse, in accounting, sales, marketing, administrative assistants, and give them a very comprehensive checklist on a clipboard and turn them loose to walk around and see what else they could find. So even after fairly extensive upgrades, routinely volunteers are finding 10 to 15% additional savings. So to that end, we have created treasure maps for some 16 types of unique facilities, including worship facilities. So I invite you today to go to energystar.gov/treasure hunt and download the treasure map. In the future, SEEK will be hosting a treasure map tutorial in which we'll walk through this in some detail. Next, please. Let's take a moment for the inevitable. Treasure hunts during COVID-19. We do have to make some allowances, and we have been working with groups in Pennsylvania, Detroit, and we're going to be working with SEEK on how to safely conduct a treasure hunt. In short, it's looking like a very small team, 1 or 2 people, hopefully armed with a smartphone or a tablet, able to share the video with everyone else on the team that's observing the walkthrough. At the bottom is a fairly long URL to download this COVID-19 guidance. Next, please. On the left, you see the competitions guide. It's a 20-page PDF you can download today. That URL at the bottom I see is missing an E on the end of competition guide, so you'll need to correct that. The guide was developed working with a lot of our partners, many large and many small, who've had success pulling together teams and doing friendly competitions, competition within a congregation, with congregations across town, within the denomination nationally, with any group of organizations can have a friendly competition. And we have a lot of ideas. And to the right, you see some of the downloadable and co-brandable posters and social media that can help support you. Energy Star products. This is probably why more than 90% of Americans know the Energy Star logo, because there are billions of products sold every month globally. And you can see here, you can't read it, but at energystar.gov/products, you can see the dozens and dozens of products. There is a page, a web page for every single product that has calculators and product information. We have rebate finders based on your zip code. You can find where there are rebates from your utility, perhaps your state, or even the retailers and the manufacturers for products. Next, please. Okay, the big tool, Portfolio Manager. It's an online free software. You can create a password protected account in which you will track the energy and water performance, even solid waste, for your house of worship. Next, please. We have a very robust training center to support Portfolio Manager and other aspects of Energy Star and EPA's Water Sense program. We have weekly live webinars. You don't have to be an Energy Star partner to sign up, and all webinars are recorded, so they're available to you 24/7. We have a large number of YouTube, very brief training videos on using Portfolio Manager. We have step-by-step training guides. I love the fact sheets. They have steps 1, 2, 3, 4, how to enter your utility billing data, or how to share with others in your organization, all the aspects of the Portfolio Manager tool. Our next Portfolio Manager 101 live training is November 4th at 2 p.m. Eastern. It will, of course, be recorded if you can't make this, but 101 is a great place to start on using Portfolio Manager. You may want to look at some of these other resources before even tuning into the webinar. We recommend at energystar.gov, the homepage, you can type in data collection worksheet, and there will be a page and a pull-down menu in which you can download a list, a PDF or a Word doc, on all the information you need for your house of worship to benchmark in Portfolio Manager. And then we have our help desk. It's highly rated. They're always scoring in the upper 90 percentile on positive experiences by our partners and others using the help desk. And then again, the bottom is where you go to the training center, energystar.gov/building/training. Next, please. So Portfolio Manager. Energy use, one of the key aspects that you can't do this with your utility bills or however else you might be tracking already. Using your zip code as an online tool, Portfolio Manager does a calculation called weather normalization. It's looking at the last 12 months of your energy use. It's comparing it online with 30 years of US Weather Service data for your zip code. And it's eliminating the weather anomalies, all the extreme weather we're seeing these days that it could be driving your heating or cooling. The point here is we want to know how efficient your building is, or you want to know how efficient your building is, your house of worship, and you want to factor out the extreme weather so you're actually seeing the performance of the building. The other thing, and I'll skip to the far right, greenhouse gas emissions, also driven by your zip code. Portfolio Manager goes into the US EPA database reported to us by all electric utilities by law of their emissions factors. That is, what is the pollution per kilowatt hour? Then based on your zip code, Portfolio Manager will do the calculation on your greenhouse gas emissions for your utility times your kilowatt hour usage. So it will actually calculate for your site the greenhouse gas emissions your house of worship is responsible for. Then going forward, you will see that number become lower as you become more efficient, and it will give you the pounds and tons of pollution you're preventing. Water use can be tracked as well. You can get a water intensity score, water use per square foot. Waste and materials, there are more than 70 types of solid materials and waste that can be tracked in Portfolio Manager, as well as your recycling of these materials. then ultimately your house of worship will achieve a 1 to 100 score, 50's average. It's comparing your energy use per square foot to the average for all houses of worship in the United States. Next, please. Certification. A house of worship, same as a product and many other types of buildings, can earn Energy Star certification. Each of these you see are certified facilities, and on average, they're using 35% less energy. And depending on the greenhouse gas emissions of the utility, they would be using or emitting 35% fewer greenhouse gas emissions. Next, please. So we believe strongly in recognition. We think whether you're taking a 15 score to 35 or 50, maybe never achieving certification, you still will have good, solid metrics on what you're achieving. And we think these are worth celebrating, certainly within the congregation, perhaps within the community if you're having competitions. Your house of worship can set a great example for your members in their homes and businesses. And on the Energy Star website, we have all kinds of parallel tools for your members' homes and businesses. If you're doing a major remodel or even construction of a new house of worship, our architect can talk to your architect, and we have a special tool called Design to Earn the Energy Star, so that you'll have an Energy Star score on day one, even without any utility history. Next, please. So it's not easy to earn certification. We have 126 worship facilities across the country that have done so, but here is the example that shows what dedication can do. Our friends at Interfaith Power and Light in Michigan, out of the 126 worship facilities, have actually achieved 58 of this total. This is showing how their focus and their hard work makes it possible. So we'd love to see all the other all the other interfaith states, all the other Green Faith affiliates, the Catholic Climate Covenant, Coalition on the Environment and Jewish Life. All our interfaith friends can be doing what Michigan Interfaith is doing, and we will help you. We'd like to point out the example of an Episcopal church in Virginia has earned the Energy Star 8 years since 2009. And then in the center of the slide, some of our denominational headquarters, the Presbyterian Church USA in Kentucky, the Christian Reformed Church in Michigan, the Archdiocese of Boston's Pastoral Center, and the denominational headquarters for Catholics in the United States in Washington, D.C., as well as the Diocese of Brooklyn Pastoral Center. These are office buildings. They have all earned the Energy Star certification as well. Next, please. Here's a case study. In Detroit, Michigan, St. Paul African Methodist Episcopal Church earned certification, and we think this is interesting. They use staff expertise. Some of this was on their staff, also some time and talent from the pews, in which they installed LEDs with timers. They sealed their ducts and covered the leaks. Then they did bring in a local contractor who updated a boiler with timer and special controls. And the interesting thing is they had to do no special fundraising. They had a lot of sweat equity involved and staff time and time from the members of the congregation to achieve certification. Next, please. Then Christian Reformed Church in Oak Forest, Illinois. They improved by upgrading old incandescent lighting to LEDs. Very important, we think, is controls like motion sensors and programmable thermostats. They upgraded their heating system, they insulated the roof, and they're even reducing water use. A point to be made here, as one of our Energy Star larger partners, an architecture firm named Gobi, performed at no cost the validation or the verification for Energy Star certification. So if you have a house of worship eligible with a 75 score or higher, we will help you find free verification. And when Gobi looked hard at the numbers, they found that not only was the 75 this is where having a real professional come in and take a look is important. Next, please. Here's a special tool for particularly urban congregations. It's green stormwater solutions. This is not from Energy Star. It's at our EPA colleagues at Non-Point Source Pollution, runoff from non-permeable sources like parking lots and sidewalks. So this is a free download as well. It's a nice guide. Next, please. And our sister program, WaterSense, also labels water using equipment and appliances. They have more than 20,000 product models. And you'll see too, they have commercial tools and training. They have webinars and fact sheets and best practices and all kinds of ways at epa.gov/watersense to conserve water. Next, please. So just so you'll have these, EPA does list disinfectant products approved for COVID-19. We have a coronavirus website, and we have some guidance for minimizing water stagnation when buildings are closed for extended periods. Next, please. And then our federal colleagues at Health and Human Services, when you have access to these slides and the URLs, you can find preventive practices and FAQs for faith-based and community leaders, faith, community, and mental health resources, and posters and fact sheets for faith and community leaders. Thank you. Next. So I'm always happy to hear from people. You have my email address here. Email me anytime. Happy to hear from you, answer questions, and see how we can help. So I'll look forward to questions. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jerry. We'll have a time for discussion at the end, but while you were speaking, we had 2 questions come in on the chat. One, is there a one-page handout with all of these EPA links and brief descriptions?
No. And Thayer, we were working on that, weren't we? You remember? We don't have that at this time. I recommend going to energystar.gov/congregations. Most of it's there or linked. And my understanding is these slides will be available to you. But we will, we're very active with SEEK, with Elisa and SEEK. And as this one-pager that you're inquiring about does get finalized, we'll make that available through SEEK. And you can certainly email me and maybe just say, send it when it's ready, okay? Thank you for the question.
And Jerry, there's one other one specifically on the Energy Star program. Is certification focused only on the building? Is there any certification that would include energy consumption related to diet, on-site, staff transportation, and digital waste?
No, Energy Star is strictly about the house of worship building. Now, our colleagues at the U.S. Green Building Council look at sustainability in a larger way than we do. So you can look for the U.S. Green Building Council. They do work with faith community as well. I believe in our action workbook, we show EPA does have a program concerned with food waste and has guidance. But again, that's the kind of question I welcome. I can send links and contacts for those type of issues.
Excellent. And as I noted in the chat, if others have questions during the speakers, please feel free to put them in the chat. And then after our next speaker is complete, we'll have the chance to unmute ourselves and ask questions of the presenters directly. Okay, so thank you, Jerry, so much for that presentation. We're now going to move to Ben Sanders to tell us more about the iHelp network, specifically how that is working in the Phoenix community.
Well, thank you there. And I'm always blessed by Jerry Lawson. I've known him for many years, and he brings such a wonderful perspective and helpfulness. So thank you, Jerry, for your important work. I'd like to talk a little bit about the Interfaith Homeless Emergency Lodging Program, or IHELP. The motto is combating homelessness as a community. And so you can go to the next slide. So what is IHELP? IHELP is a unique shelter model that provides homeless individuals with hope and opportunity for a better future by offering overnight shelter, meals, showers, case management, and connections to community services. The shelter rotates daily among the facilities of 10 or more faith congregations throughout the city. These and other congregations also serve meals to guests in IHELP. Case management and program administration is provided by a local nonprofit organization serving people in need. Well, let me fill this out in a more specific way. Back in 2005, we had any number of heat-related deaths in our community of Tempe, Arizona. And because of that, the faith leaders in our community and the local CAP agency, Tempe Community Action Agency, felt a moral imperative to do something, to act. And we decided that there was a model in Monterey Bay, California called IHELP, where the faith community came together and through a rotating shelter, utilizing existing facilities, they were able to provide housing and shelter for homeless folks. And we felt like this was a perfect model that could be replicated in Tempe. So you can go to the next slide, please. And so again, this is a little bit of the history. In 2006, we began IHELP in Tempe. We started with 3 nights. My congregation, the Church on Mill, was actually the second night of IHELP. I remember we had about a dozen people again on the second night, and I remember we watched the Winter Olympics together, and it was a really wonderful kind of family experience together, just doing that. It's grown now to 7 nights per week with 35 to 40 homeless guests each night. Again, in a rotating way. So it's not in one congregation every single night, but rather rotates around the city. And then it moved to Mesa. I was contacted by a Mesa council person who wanted to see IHELP in Mesa. And so the Lutheran Social Services program with congregations throughout Mesa focusing on homeless women. And there, at that point, there was no shelter focused on women in Mesa. And then in 2012, Chandler began that program. The agency is now called Ascend. And so among all 3 programs, about 25,000 shelter bed nights are provided each year, as well as 25,000 meals. You can go to the next slide, please. So we believe this is a replicable model, and not only is it replicated throughout the East Valley of the Phoenix metro area, there are other communities around Phoenix that are using this, and I believe it could happen anywhere. But one of the key things is you need a nonprofit agency that has experience working with people experiencing homelessness and in poverty. Again, Tempe Community Action Agency in Tempe is our nonprofit. So they provide the operational administrative support, case management, which is critical to the success of it. And then we have faith congregations in Tempe. Just about 12 different faith communities actually open their facilities to allow homeless guests to have a safe place to sleep. We put down mats and have sheets, clean sheets for everyone. I will never forget at our church, we did it on Saturday nights. And so literally at 7 a.m., everyone would be moving, cleaning up, moving out. And at 8 a.m., there were people in the church for Sunday morning services, having no idea that it had been a homeless shelter the night before. And then volunteers are critical. They bring home cooked meals. It's served family style. Of course, we're in a different mode with COVID-19, but we have to be more careful, of course, and are doing screening and tests. But the reality is it's a much more family feel to having a meal together. And we encourage people to sit down and listen to other people's stories. And it gives you a very different perspective on what homelessness is about and what causes are behind it. You can go to the next slide, please. We believe this is a very effective use of resources. We're not building a new shelter, which typically, because of NIMBYism, but maybe you have, I've heard of banana, build absolutely none, is typically where it ends up. And instead, we say we want to invite people, welcome guests into our own spaces. And so congregations provide the facilities free of charge. Volunteers bring wonderfully delightful home-cooked meals or meals prepared. And again, that with COVID-19, it's a different scenario in terms of how we do the meal preparation and provision. But those are provided for free. And then we have volunteer hours. So this is a rough approximation of approximately use of saving about contribution of almost $1 million in terms of resources that are simply provided by the community at no governmental expense. We also, going to the next slide, if you're going to keep and maintain a job, you need to be clean. And so that's another issue, is that there is a mobile shower trailer so that people can have, and there's also now a mobile, essentially laundromat with washing machine and dryers. So people can take a shower, clean their clothes. Again, so critical to being able to be employed. Next one, please. So we believe that this is important on many levels, but because we have a coalition of the iHelp programs in Tempe, Mesa, and Chandler, we're able to, first of all, share information using HMIS, Homeless Management Information System, so that everyone's informed about what kinds of services are being provided, who's getting help. There's communication, sharing of resources, marketing, and we're committed to seeing iHelp spread to other communities. And next slide, please. So I believe it's a successful program for a lot of reasons, but we do have good communication with the agencies, with the different partner groups. We meet periodically. Case management is absolutely critical. It's not just about providing an overnight place to sleep, but it's also about engaging with people so that they can really chart out what their goals are for the future and then help them meet their goals. And then the last slide. If you want to get more information, you can look up under tempeaction.org, Lutheran Southwest, Lutheran Social Services of the Southwest, or Ascend. All have information on their sites. I usually go to Tempe Community Action Agency because they are sort of the one who helped foster and an amazing woman named Sue Ringler is helped get us started, and now she is returned as the manager for iHelp at Tempe Community Action Agency. So I believe this is, again, can be replicated. We have, in a time of challenges in terms of resources, this is the way the community can really give back, make a positive difference, and also to do it really in a much more, I think, humane, personal, caring way, because we're inviting people into our house of worship as guests. We get to know each other, spend time. I'm also very proud to say that one of the fellows who was coming to our program regularly for a very long time as a homeless individual, he is actually my neighbor 3 doors down. He was able to kick a drug habit. He now runs his own business of, and so Dave Talley is a wonderful fellow, and we're actually going to be having him do all the lawn maintenance at our facility, the Campus Christian Center. So I can certify that it does work. That's one of the more outstanding examples that I know, but every time I see Dave drive down the street with his truck and all the equipment on it to take care of people's lawns, it's just, I remember Dave when all his possessions were a bicycle and a backpack. Thank you very much. So glad to be able to share with you.
Thank you so much, Ben. So our final slide, before we get into the question and answer, are 3 next steps for all of you. Now, if you don't have a QR code reader on your phone, we will send you the links for each of these. But what we're requesting or suggesting you all do is first participate in a COVID-safe treasure hunt with Jerry Lawson as your hunt leader. And this is where Jerry or I can get on the phone with a team, and maybe, as Jerry mentioned, for a treasure hunt, it's just 1 or 2 people, and help you walk through your worship facility over Zoom and highlight clear places for energy efficiency opportunities. And that would include lighting, heating, ventilating, and air conditioning, and some of the major energy use criteria that we have found throughout Energy Star. The next one is to request an energy assessment conducted by one of the SEEK student team members. And that gives you an opportunity to work very closely with a SEEK student team, and they will help you set up your worship facility in Portfolio Manager and do an overall energy assessment of your facility. And then our final request to you is to join the SEEK mailing list. If you check your interest in the SEEK community team, that helps you get to work with students and really increase the capacity of your worship facility for increased energy efficiency, renewable energy, just overall sustainability opportunities. So I see in the chat we have some links specifically for these next steps. So if you don't have a QR reader, these links are in the chat now. And I would like to open the floor to some question and answer with both of our speakers. All of you are on mute now, so if you just want to unmute your microphone or your phone, please feel free to jump in and ask a question. When you start, please introduce yourself so we know your name and your organization. Thank you.
There, could I just say one quick word, because I realized I didn't say the most important tie-in as to why I help relates to the SEEK project, and that is, if you think about a congregation opens up their facility, they're not building a new facility, they're using existing space. So there's not really a significant additional cost to that. What the cost that will impact a congregation significantly is the utilities. Particularly in Phoenix during the summertime, utilities are our main huge financial hit. And trust me, when you are cooling down a large space, you are using energy. So that impacts the budget of the congregation. And so one of our thoughts has been that we would like to work with iHelp churches, beginning with them, because they're providing an important social service and social good, but they are paying a price for their utilities. And so the more that we can work with them to bring down their overall energy consumption and costs, then that contributes to their ability to do their mission. So that maybe is the tie that I didn't really make clear as to between the SEEK project, Energy Star for congregations, and the iHelp program.
Thanks, Ben. And would that be through both renewable energy and energy efficiency, or are you targeting anything specifically there?
Yeah, we're looking at both efficiency. We begin with efficiency. This is something I've learned from Jerry. You start with your efficiency so that you can then properly size solar if you choose to add that or other renewable energy.
Thank you. So I'd like to open the floor to questions, or if either of our speakers have anything else to add.
I have a question. My name is Melissa Guadaro. I'm an assistant research professor at ASU in the School of Sustainability, and I'm primarily an urban heat researcher. And I just love hearing all about this because, as you know, this summer had record-breaking heat, and we also had a record-breaking number of suspected heat deaths. And we're assuming that that is due to the homeless population because there was a moratorium on evictions and there was also a moratorium on disconnections. So this COVID also impacted the places that could provide cooling centers. So when I say cooling centers, I'm talking about places where you could go into during the day or in the early evening that would be air conditioned and you would be able to cool down. Because as you know, the human body needs to cool down below 90 degrees in order to maintain health, never mind if you have a pre-existing condition. The Maricopa Association of Governments, MAG, operates this heat relief network, but it's really based upon volunteer organizations who, just like you with your program in Tempe and with all the interfaith groups getting together and rotating around, they had 75 different locations drop out as of March because their facilities were closed. They couldn't get volunteers. You know, a lot of this is staffed by senior citizen volunteers who were particularly not willing to go out during COVID. So we've been trying to think of ways to get more people to open up their buildings to become a cooling center during the day. And you know, the obvious one is the interfaith group, because there's so many buildings that are not being used during the day, particularly during the heat of the summer. But the question comes circling around to what you just mentioned about having the cost be very high for air conditioning. And for many congregations, the extra $1,000 a month is just prohibitive. So I really love all of these things that could be done for potential volunteer congregations. But I'm wondering if you also would like to be part of an effort where we're thinking long-term that if we're providing a public good, particularly in the case of people who have had trouble paying their utility bill, you know, pay your utility bill or pay rent, maybe we can get the utility companies, SRP and EPA specifically, to provide some sort of funding. And I'm wondering if you ever went down that route with your your rotating homeless shelters.
Yeah, that's a great suggestion because again, it'd be one more way that the community can provide resources. And so besides just simply trying to save, be more efficient and I use my own center as an example. We get high utilization because we work with student organizations during the academic year, but during the summers, we don't. And so we are actively pursuing a way in which we could use our facility during the summertime to be a host site, not only for iHelp, but for heat relief. But I'm also anticipating that, yes, that's going to come at a cost. And so I appreciate that suggestion, is that going directly to the utilities and looking for assistance to help support that is a great idea. And if you have contacts there or could help us, I would be wide open to that partnership. The great thing is we have a network. We have people who care. And the more the community contributes, the more people get involved in these issues. And that's all to the good.
So I'd like to invite anyone on this call that we are part of an Arizona Heat Preparedness and Resilience Coalition working group. We were meeting weekly during the summer, and it's comprised of municipalities, the health departments, lots of NGOs, the interfaith community. So yeah, please contact me if you're interested. And please contact me if you're specifically interested in pursuing this with the utility companies, because that's definitely on our to-do list between now and next year.
Absolutely.
And I see a note that the breakout rooms are going to be closing soon. So just in case we're cut off, I know all the slides and the recordings will be shared with you after the conference ends, so you'll have everyone's contact information just in case we get cut off mid-discussion. So any other questions for our speakers at this time? Please go ahead until we're cut off. Let's keep chatting. Well, Jerry, I have a question for you. I do a lot of trainings, and sometimes I feel like, and probably it was noted in this presentation, there's so much information available and so many things you can do. Do you have a list of, you know, if a worship facility is just getting started, where should they go? What should they do?
I would say the first thing to do is to go to the web page. There's a lot there, and they can look around. But I think the action workbook is a good context provider for a lot of aspects of this overall stewardship effort. And then for sort of the quick summary down to action items, the treasure map is, you know, a few pages. It's pretty dense, bullets and resources. So I think those two documents, which you can go download right now, are a good place to start.
I'd also like to put in a plug for Portfolio Manager. It is a free software tool. We use it on our center. It is so helpful to see what's going on with not only energy, but also water. And that's kind of gives you a baseline. So you really understand your energy and water usage, so that then you can start to see over time how you're making progress. So I'll be a big advocate for Portfolio Manager. Amazing tool, so helpful, and it's for free.
Thank you, Ben, for that plug. That's we do a lot of work with Portfolio Manager, and I agree, it can really be useful. I see we're going to lose our breakout room in 8 seconds. There was a question on how many faith communities in Arizona are involved with SEEK, which we will have to ask Elise